Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not relevant.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy there.
They got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Now we're getting commentary on the case.
Literally not true.
Dati mihi Anglican for his service Latino.
Is that correct?
I didn't ask you to interrupt me. Oh, for Trump's sake.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict. Happy Monday to you. Brand new work week ahead of us. With all that brings. Big shout out to Fire Girl Handmade by Wendy. First in chat today. Welcome. It's great to have you here. Fire Girl Handmade by Wendy. You are in fact sentenced to internet ownership. Everything IP related worldwide is your responsibility because you were first in chat. You are so eager to be here. Yes, I feel fresh-faced and happy. I've actually got like a 2-day stubble going on. So, yeah, that happens. It was 2 inches long. My goatee was 2 inches long. Like I could do like 2 thumbs and still have a little bit left over, which I think would be over 2 inches. And I decided it had to go. And now I feel like 10 years younger, too. So there's that. And then I got a haircut, because why not? So, work week. What's this work of which you speak? Yeah, I don't know. Troy, I don't know. How's STEM Guy doing? Hope you've grown to like the quirky pumpkins. Red Pen STEM Guy is on a front porch right now and is looking good out there. Yes, thank you for all you who helped me find the perfect pumpkin as we took my little kids out to pick up pumpkins for Halloween. STEM Guy, if you haven't seen the live stream we did, I think it was a vertical live, right? I think it was vertical. We did that on, I think it was that Saturday? I think it was Saturday. Let's see, Amazon, Snapchat, several websites down. Fire Girl Handmade by Wendy. If you can get right on that for everybody who needs those websites, that would be great. Couple things. Let's see. We've got a few things going on. Sleep with one eye open. Welcome to the gallery. Welcome. Great to have you here. I love your giraffe, by the way. Looks great. Sherry Smith, RJ2CS. Member for 25 months. That makes you an OG. Best place to be. Thank you very much, Sherry. Appreciate your support. Wonderful. Thank you. All right, we have a brand new work week upon us. And I will tell you,
you're my new best friend.
I've got a fan on my desk, and my chin is really cold right now. It's the wind brushing by my chin. I have not felt that for a couple months.
You look good.
And, yeah, there's that. Let's see, lots of other websites are down. Amazon Web Services. Oh, AWS. Oh, bummer. That's where we transitioned my my DoD workload to. I hope that's not down.
Don't put a diplomatic plate on a hoopty.
Because that's a lot of stuff.
May be upon us.
All right. Renee, member for 20 months. It's been longer. OG. Congratulations, Renee. F1. Blue Star, 22, member for 2 months. Not an OG yet.
You from talking to cats.
But so happy to be here. Thank you, Blue Stars. Wonderful. Drama Llama Mama, member for 11 months. Can't wait for my new color. It's coming soon. Next month. You'll have it. That's great. I have some items on the AWS. Hopefully they're not down. It's so unfair. A guy can shave off his beard and look 10 years younger. I know. But when I grow it out, it looks 10 years older. So it's like it's a trade-off. Well, or 15 years older in my case because it comes in all white. Let's see. A few more months working on it. see if I can find this. Marianne R65, member for 13 months. It's been longer, but my favorite place to be. Thank you very much, Marianne. Greeners, good morning. Gifted 10 memberships to kick things off this morning. Barb says, I do miss the face fur. I do too, especially when my face is cold. Reverend Beasy, I'm looking at who received gifts from Greeners. Reverend Beasy's on the list. Haley's Comment, Melissa Webb, Wendy by Proxy, Mermaid Mary, Amy P. Great people. Ladybird, Chris Vickerman. Greeners, you got great aim. Lisa Lulu, Judge Canoni's Baloney. Congratulations to the recipients. If I missed one, I'm sorry. Let's see, buffer. Oh, we have a birthday. Let's do that, and then we'll go on to what we're going to do next. All right. Just Kira, right? Nobody else? At least it's alphabetical, right, Red Pen? It's alphabetical here. All right, we're going to sing happy birthday to Kira. Everyone stand up, take a breath, shoulders back, project your voice to the back of the room, blend your voice with your neighbor, warm up with me if you will. La 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 la. Here we go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kira. Happy birthday to you. The thing about having just one person to sing to means the dancers have to do a lot of dancing. They've got to just... Whoa, what's that in the middle? Scaredy cat in the middle? I'm glad we had a birthday. Kira, I'm glad it's yours. Kira, there are many wonderful days. Today's your special day. And I realize there are a million places you could be and a million people you could have been celebrating with, but you chose...
Birthday. You look good.
You do look good. You chose to be here with us. The privilege, pleasure, the honor, the joy is ours. Hopefully, we can return some of that joy back to you. Make your day a little more special. Begin by helping yourself to free pancakes at Denny's, IHOP, Village Inn, Waffle House, McDonald's, Tammy Dunlap's house, Village Inn. I said Village Inn twice. Bob Evans, and Cracker Barrel. I think that's all. Andy's Grill. Did I get that in there? Village Inn got double dipping, I think. So, happy birthday. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Good stuff. I have to tell you, I did a thing. I figured out how to make Suno sing my songs instead of Suno make up their own songs. So I started putting some of the songs I've written on Suno with the notes and the words that I wrote, just with someone else's voice singing it. So we're going to try to jump up to New Hampshire right now, where, in fact, there is a new trial. This is a crazy trial. Let's let the birthday song finish here. Drum solo. Is this it? Beautiful drum solo it was. Oh, we can't do this one. Oh my
Next charge ID is 2237508C. The state alleges that Dustin Mark Duran of or formerly of Berlin in the state of New Hampshire on February 29th of 2024.
I might have to do this completely differently.
With force and arms commit the crime of second-degree murder, in that Dustin Mark Duran did knowingly cause the death of Caitlin Knapsinger by shooting her with a firearm. Said acts being contrary to the form of the statute, such case made and provided against the peace and dignity.
Can you guys even hear this?
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defendant has been arraigned on the charges and has pleaded not guilty, and of this he puts himself upon this country for trial, which country you are. The Attorney General for the state has joined the issue, and you are to say by your verdict if the defendant is guilty of the crimes whereof he stands charged or not guilty. Hearken to the evidence. Mr. Duran, you may be seated.
got it boosted as far as not as far as I can. I got 20.
Thank you, Clerk Kovalenko. Good morning again, members of the jury. Thank you for your punctuality. Thank you for your service. Okay, you are about to hear opening statements by counsel. Before that, I'm going to give you some general instructions as to the law that applies to this case, which will give you some guidance as you consider the evidence in this case. At the end of the case, after you have heard the evidence and closing arguments, I will give you further instructions, and then you will retire to the jury deliberation room to decide your verdict. You will receive a written copy of these instructions when you are ready to deliberate. In order to reach a fair and just verdict, you must understand and follow the law as I explain it to you. For example, you have to understand the definitions of the crimes with which the defendant is charged. You have to understand how convinced one way or the other you should be before you reach your verdict, and you have to understand what to consider in deciding whether to believe a particular witness. These instructions, as I said, will explain the law as to these and other matters so that you can reach a fair and just verdict. It is up to you to decide the facts of this case. You and you alone are the judges of the facts. You must decide the facts solely from the evidence in this trial. You apply the facts as you find them to be to the law as I give it to you in these instructions. And in this way, you reach your verdict. You should decide the facts in this case without prejudice, without fear, and without sympathy. You are to decide the facts based only on the evidence, and the evidence in this case consists of the testimony under oath of the witnesses and any exhibits which are admitted into evidence. Those exhibits will go with you into the jury deliberation room. There are certain other matters that you may not consider as evidence. The fact that the defendant has been arrested and charged with a crime is not evidence.
I'm going to mute him for just a minute. This is a murder trial, and this is a unique murder trial. This is a husband versus wife murder trial, where the husband is claiming self-defense. And he's claiming self-defense because he says the wife was about to kidnap the kids. Why is that interesting? Because after this happened, he took the kids and ran, and there was an Amber Alert issued. Now, there's been motion in limine about whether or not the Amber Alert could come in, and there's, some fun fights that went on behind the scenes on this one. But we are in New Hampshire versus Darren Duran, and he's accused of murdering his wife, and he's fighting it right here. Let's listen to some of the remaining instructions to the jurors. These are standard instructions, talking about what type of evidence and everything else. And he's a YouTuber.
What the lawyers say to you is not evidence. In their opening statements and their closing arguments, the lawyers will discuss their view of the facts to help you understand the evidence from their point of view. But the lawyers are not witnesses in this matter, and therefore they cannot testify. Therefore, what they say to you is not evidence in the case. If the lawyers state the evidence differently from how you recall it, then you should follow your own memory of what the evidence was. Also, if the lawyers state the law differently from the law as I explain it to you in these instructions, then you must disregard what the lawyers have said about the law and follow my instructions.
Greeners, thank you.
It is quite common during a trial for the lawyers to make objections. Lawyers are supposed to object when they believe that certain evidence may not be admissible under our rules of evidence. Please do not hold it against either party if they make these objections, and sometimes these objections require bench conferences. If I sustain an objection and I exclude any evidence, you must not guess as to what the evidence might have been. If I order that a question and answer be stricken from the record, you must not consider either the question or the answer as evidence. Likewise, if I overrule an objection and I admit certain evidence, then you must not give that evidence any special weight as a result of my ruling. I am not expressing views as to the importance of evidence when I make my rulings. I am merely applying the law, as is my duty. Throughout the trial, I must be fair and impartial, just as you are required to be. So if I say or do anything during the trial that causes you to believe that I favor one party over the other, I now instruct you that I do not favor either party in this case. The role of the judge is to run the trial in a fair and orderly manner, to decide the admissibility of evidence, and to instruct you, the jury, on the law that applies to the case. You and you alone, as I said, are the judges of the facts, and you decide the verdict. Now that I've told you what you must not consider, I'm going to tell you what you can consider as evidence. You should consider the testimony of witnesses and any exhibits that may have been introduced as evidence. In other words, you should consider only the legally admissible evidence and reasonable inferences that you can draw from the evidence. By reasonable inferences, I mean conclusions which reason and common sense lead you to draw from the facts that are proven to your satisfaction.
I'm captivated.
There are two ways
30 months.
for a party to prove a particular fact in the case, either through direct or circumstantial evidence. Direct evidence is direct proof of a fact, such as the testimony of a witness based upon personal knowledge. That is, what the witness actually saw, heard, or otherwise directly experienced. Circumstantial evidence is indirect evidence,
Let's hear what
which tends to
example he
prove a
uses.
disputed fact by proof of other facts.
For example,
In other words, circumstantial evidence is proof of a chain of facts and inferences that tend to prove whether the defendant is guilty or not guilty. Let me give you a brief example to demonstrate the difference between direct and circumstantial evidence.
not the rain. Not the rain.
Assume that when you enter the courthouse, it is cloudy outside. While you are in the court, you see someone come into the building who is wearing rain boots, the person is soaking wet, and they're closing an umbrella. If you could actually look out the window and see for yourself that there is rain falling from the sky, that would be direct evidence that it is raining outside. In contrast, if you cannot see for yourself whether it is raining outside, you still could consider the facts and circumstances of the person you observed entering the court with the rain boots and umbrella to determine whether it is raining outside. That is an example of circumstantial evidence. You should consider both types of evidence, direct and circumstantial. There is no legal distinction between the weight of direct evidence as compared to circumstantial evidence. You are permitted to give equal weight to both, but you must decide how much weight to give any evidence, whether it be direct or circumstantial. There is, however, a rule relating to circumstantial evidence that you must keep in mind. If the state presents only circumstantial evidence to prove one or more elements of a charged offense, then in order to convict, you must find that the totality of the evidence as to those elements excludes all reasonable conclusions other than guilt. This means if it is reasonable to arrive at two conclusions, one consistent with guilt and one consistent with innocence, then you must choose the reasonable conclusion consistent with innocence. In determining whether all reasonable conclusions other than guilt have been excluded, you should not consider any item of circumstantial evidence in isolation. Rather, you should consider each item of circumstantial evidence in the context of all the other evidence. You must understand, however, that this circumstantial evidence rule does not apply to direct evidence. If there is a conflict between two or more witnesses who offer direct evidence concerning certain facts, you must decide which witness to believe. For example, suppose there are two eyewitnesses to a crime, and one testifies that the defendant committed the crime, and the other testifies that the defendant did not commit the crime. This presents a situation where there is a conflict in the direct evidence. In this situation, you, the jury, must decide which witness to believe and whether, based upon all of the evidence, the state has proven the defendant's guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Similarly, if only one witness provides direct evidence concerning an offense charged, then you must decide whether to believe that particular witness, considering the factors I will outline and any other considerations you would ordinarily use in deciding whether to believe a person based upon your common sense and good judgment. Now, in reviewing the evidence, you should consider the quality of the evidence and not the quantity. It is not the number of witnesses or the quantity of the evidence that is important, but the quality of the evidence. That is, how persuasive the evidence is to you. In summary, you should consider all the evidence in the case and decide whether the state has proven the defendant guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. In deciding this case, you must decide the credibility of witnesses. That is, it is up to you to decide who to believe. If there is any conflict between the witnesses, then you must resolve the conflict. Simply because a witness has taken an oath to tell the truth does not mean that you have to accept the testimony as true. Use your common sense and judgment. Consider factors you use in deciding important issues in your everyday lives. For example, you may consider the following: the witness's appearance, attitude, and behavior on the witness stand and the way the witness testified, the witness's age, intelligence, and experience, the witness's opportunity and ability to see or hear the things about which the witness testified, the accuracy of the witness's memory, any motive of the witness not to tell the truth, any interest that a witness had in the outcome of the case, any bias of the witness or friendship or animosity the witness may have for or against any of the other people in the case, the consistency or inconsistency of the witness's testimony, whether or not what the witness said appears reasonable or unreasonable, whether what the witness said is consistent or inconsistent with the testimony of other witnesses or with statements the witness made at another time. In deciding which witnesses to believe and how much of their testimony to believe, you should consider both the direct and cross-examination of the witnesses. If you believe that part of a witness's testimony is false, you may choose to distrust other parts also, but you are not required to do so. Inconsistencies and contradictions within a witness's testimony or between witnesses do not necessarily mean that you should disbelieve the witness. It is possible for honest people to witness the same event and see or hear things differently. You should evaluate inconsistencies and contradictions and determine whether they are important or unimportant. You need not believe any witness even though the testimony is uncontradicted, nor are you required to accept testimony as true simply because some or even all of the witnesses agree with each other. You may find the testimony of one witness or of a few witnesses more persuasive than the testimony of a larger number. The principles I have outlined regarding judging the credibility of witnesses apply to all witnesses, whether they are ordinary civilians, police officers, or otherwise. In short, you should consider the testimony of each witness and give it the weight you think it deserves. You can accept all of what a witness says, you can reject all of what a witness says, or you can accept some of it and reject some of it. It is up to you. Now, I've addressed what you should not consider and what you should consider in reaching a verdict. I am now going to discuss how convinced one way or the other you must be, and this is referred to as the burden of proof. Under both our state and federal constitutions, all defendants in criminal cases are presumed to be innocent until proven guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. The burden of proving guilt rests entirely on the state. The defendant does not have to prove his innocence. The defendant enters this courtroom as an innocent man, and you must consider him to be an innocent man until the state convinces you beyond a reasonable doubt that he is guilty. If, after all the evidence and arguments, you have a reasonable doubt as to whether the defendant committed any one or more elements of the offense, then you must find him not guilty. Ladies and gentlemen, a reasonable doubt is just what the words would ordinarily imply. The use of the word reasonable means simply that the doubt must be reasonable rather than unreasonable. It must be a doubt based on reason. It is not a frivolous or fanciful doubt, nor is it one that can easily be explained away. Rather, it is such a doubt based on reason as remains after consideration of all the evidence the state has offered against it. The test you must use is this. If you have a reasonable doubt as to whether the state has proven any one or more of the elements of the crime charged, you must find the defendant not guilty. However, if you find the state has proven all of the elements of the offense charged beyond a reasonable doubt, you should find the defendant guilty. During the course of the trial, you can get to know your fellow jurors, but you are not allowed to talk about the case or the evidence until you begin deliberating. It is quite natural to want to talk to your fellow jurors about the case as it unfolds, but it is really important that you not do that. If you have those conversations during the trial, it tends to cause you to form opinions about what you think the outcome ought to be before you have heard all of the evidence. Cases are presented in a certain order. The state has the burden of proof, so it will present evidence first. Because the defendant is presumed innocent, he has no obligation to present any evidence, but he has a right to do so if he wants to. So you may not hear evidence from the defense until later in the case. If the defendant chooses to exercise his absolute constitutional right not to testify or present any evidence, you cannot hold that against him or draw any negative inferences based on this. Even if the defendant chooses Even if the defendant chooses not to present evidence, the importance of certain pieces of evidence may not become apparent until the lawyers make their closing arguments. You will have plenty of time to discuss the evidence and testimony with your fellow jurors when you retire to deliberate. After all of the evidence has been submitted and both sides have presented their closing arguments, I will give you further instructions about the law that applies to this case, including definitions of the crimes charged and other issues that might arise during the course of the trial. If at any point, if any of you cannot see or hear any witness or any of the attorneys while they have the floor, please raise your hand and we will address it. Thank you. The other thing I would like to say at this time is we typically will take a mid-morning break, we'll take a lunch break, and we'll take a mid-afternoon break. I try to time those breaks based upon the overall flow of the trial and based upon the presentation of witness testimony. I try to do my best to make sure that we don't go too long, so we'll do that as we go through the evidence. Okay? All right, ready to proceed?
Here we go with the prosecution, beginning with their opening statement. Listen carefully. This will lay the whole case out in front of you here. Tell us what we need to count as well. Oh, he's a binder guy. No iPad for him.
This is Caitlin Nafziger. You can see her here with her daughter, Ellen. In this photo, you can see her as she was in life, holding one of her children close. She's dead now. She's dead because the defendant, Dustin Dern, the father of her children, murdered her. As Caitlin sat on the couch, holding her 4-year-old daughter, Ellen, on her lap, very much like you see there, the defendant ripped Ellen from Caitlin's arms. He stepped back, pointed his 9mm Beretta semi-automatic pistol at Caitlin's head, and pulled the trigger. The defendant was still holding Ellen in his arms when he murdered her mother. The sound of the gunshot hurt Ellen's ears. After the defendant killed Caitlin, he took Ellen and her 1-year-old sister, Valen. He packed their things, put them in his car, and began driving. He got all the way to Concord, where he called his parents, and he confessed. He told them that he had killed Caitlin. He said he was going dark, and he shut off his phone, making it impossible for the authorities to track his location.
Not impossible,
the defendant's father called the Berlin police. The police went to the defendant's apartment and found Caitlin there, dead. A few hours later, in the early morning hours of March 1st, 2024, an Amber Alert went out, including descriptions of the defendant, the girls, and the defendant's car. It was that Amber Alert that led to the defendant's arrest, after a citizen told the Keene police that she saw the defendant's car heading in the direction of an Applebee's in Keene. The police found the defendant in his car in the parking lot of Applebee's. Elowen and Valen were in the back seat. The murder weapon, that 9mm Beretta semi-automatic pistol, was in the driver's side door. After his arrest, the defendant gave an interview with the New Hampshire State Police. He told them his version of the story, his version of what happened between him and Caitlin. He told the police that he wanted Caitlin to leave his apartment, and when she wouldn't, he got angry. He tried to take Elowen from Caitlin, but she refused, and he got angry. So he went to his desk, grabbed his gun, and used it to kill the mother of his children. You can see the words very deliberate up there on the screen. Those are his words, the defendant's words. Those are the words that he used to describe his killing of Caitlin Nafziger when he spoke to the police. Ladies and gentlemen of this jury, this will not be a case that is difficult to understand. This will not be a whodunit. There will be no mystery. The evidence will prove to you beyond a reasonable doubt that Dustin Duren murdered Caitlin Nafziger. The evidence will also show you why he did it. This is a case about anger and control. According to the defendant, he and Caitlin had argued over the course of the day. He wanted her to leave and go back to Minnesota, where she was from. And when Caitlin refused to do what he wanted, when he couldn't control her actions, he got angry. So he took his gun, pointed it at Caitlin, and pulled the trigger. It was, as he said, a very deliberate act. During this trial, the state will provide you with evidence that proves beyond a reasonable doubt that Dustin Duren is guilty of the murder of Caitlin Nafziger, as well as the crimes of reckless conduct with a deadly weapon and endangerment of a child. You will be given that evidence in the form of witness testimony, photographs, videos, and physical evidence. And right now, we're going to talk about some of that evidence.
It's laid out pretty simply.
Caitlin Nafziger and Dustin Duren were both from Minnesota. Together, they had two daughters, Elowen and Valen. In February of 2024, Elowen was 4 years old and Valen was 1. Caitlin and the defendant did not have a good relationship. It was rocky. By January of 2024, things were not in a good place. That month, the defendant moved from Minnesota to New Hampshire. He brought Elowen with him. Caitlin and Valen remained in Minnesota. The defendant drove from Minnesota with Elowen, and on January 23rd, he moved into an apartment in Berlin. That apartment was at 1063 Main Street. You can see 1063 Main Street here. It's a multi-family home in Berlin. The defendant's apartment was on the ground floor.
Sounds
After
like
the
the clerk is
defendant and
typing this out
Elowen arrived in
longhand.
New Hampshire, the defendant and Caitlin argued over the phone and through text messages. They argued about the children and their future.
Laser pointer for effects.
On February 27th, Caitlin and Valen flew to Boston. They took a bus from the airport to New Hampshire, where they met family, and they spent the night with that family on the seacoast. The next day was the 28th. That day, Caitlin and Valen got a ride and were dropped off at a restaurant in Ossipee. There, they met the defendant and Elowen. After having lunch, the defendant drove them all in his car back to Berlin. They spent the night at 1063 Main Street, that apartment that you saw. The defendant believed that after this visit, Caitlin was going to return home to Minnesota without either of the girls. That was what he wanted. The next day, February 29th, according to the defendant, he asked Caitlin repeatedly when her aunt was going to come pick her up. He asked her every 15 minutes because he wanted her to leave. He didn't want her there. Caitlin ignored him. After repeated questions from the defendant about when she was going to leave, Caitlin told him, "I'm not leaving, I'm staying." During the course of that day, according to the defendant, Caitlin threatened to call the police and have the children taken away from him. This continued throughout the day. That evening, After a day of asking Caitlin when she would leave, and a day of Caitlin not doing what he wanted her to do, the defendant got angry. He was so angry that he started packing up Caitlin's things so that he could drive her to the seacoast, do it himself. His plan was to load Caitlin, her things, and both girls into the car, drive Caitlin to her family and drop her off, and then return back to Berlin with both of the girls.
They were married, right?
The defendant put the younger daughter, Valen, in her car seat. Caitlin remained sitting on the couch, holding Elowen in her arms. Similar to that photo.
Okay.
Caitlin
Boyfriend,
did not want
girlfriend.
to leave. The defendant tried to grab Elowen from Caitlin, but Caitlin would not let go. She continued to hold Elowen. She didn't want to leave. This made the defendant even angrier. Angry that Caitlin refused to leave his apartment, and angry that she refused to let go of her daughter Elowen, the defendant had had enough. In his mind, the line had been crossed. Those are his words. Those are the words he told the police, and he described to them why he killed Caitlin and what was going through his head. By refusing to allow him to take her child from her arms, Caitlin had crossed the line. This is a diagram of the defendant's apartment at 1063 Main Street. If you look at the living room, you can see that there is a couch, a coffee table in front of it, and then a desk on the other side of the room. Those black bars that you see represent the doorways in the apartment. And you can see the back door is down a hallway on the left side. Caitlin was sitting on the couch in front of the coffee table with Elowen on her lap. According to the defendant, after he tried and failed to take Elowen from Caitlin as she sat on the couch, he crossed the room and went to his desk. From his desk, he grabbed this, his Beretta 9mm semi-automatic pistol. That gun had a loaded magazine in it, but no bullet in the chamber. According to the defendant, after he grabbed the gun, he racked it on the slide back, putting a bullet in the chamber. The gun was now ready to fire. The defendant walked back across the room from his desk, around the coffee table, and stood in front of Caitlin to her left. He grabbed Elowen and ripped her from her mother's arms with his left arm. He was holding that pistol in his right. After grabbing Elowen, holding her in his left arm, he stepped back and pointed his gun at Caitlin's head. At this point, Caitlin was sitting on the couch alone. She was unarmed. The defendant stood between Caitlin and the exit. Elowen in one arm, gun in the other. At that time, Caitlin did not have a car, she did not have a bus ticket, and her family was hours away. As Caitlin sat on that couch, holding Elowen in his arm, after stepping back, the defendant pulled the trigger. He did not miss. He fired one bullet. That bullet entered Caitlin's skull from the left side of her head. It traveled through her brain and exited the right side. The gunshot was loud. According to the defendant, Elowen immediately started grabbing her ear and complaining of the noise. The defendant went to the garage and put her in the car. This is what the defendant told the detectives later about what he was thinking at that moment after shooting Caitlin in the head. He told them that he knew, in his words, that he was screwed. He understood what had happened, and he understood the consequences. He went back in the house. He got Valen, who was still in her car seat. He grabbed clothes for himself and for the girls. He grabbed food and water. He grabbed pillows and blankets. He put all of these things into his car. He grabbed his desktop computer. You can see it there in the defendant's trunk. After packing up those supplies with both girls in the car, the defendant started to drive. The defendant left his apartment in Berlin sometime between 5:38 p.m. and 6 p.m. on February 29th. He drove to Concord, arriving a little bit before 9 p.m. In Concord, the defendant sent a video of the girls to his mother, and then he called his parents. At 10:08 p.m. in Concord, he called them and told them what he had done. He said, "I killed Caitlin." He said, "You should probably call the police." He also said, "I'm going to go dark. I'm not turning off my phone."
Hence the Amber Alert.
He said he would turn himself in, but he wanted some time with the girls before he did it. At about 10:22 p.m., the defendant did turn off his phone. According to him, he drove west into New York State. At some point, he stopped, and he and the girls slept in the car in the back seat. According to the defendant, when he woke up the next morning, he decided to turn himself in. So he started driving back to New Hampshire. As the defendant drove through Keene the morning of March 1st, he decided to have breakfast somewhere with his girls. While driving, he was seen and he was placed under arrest. The murder weapon, that 9mm Beretta semi-automatic pistol, was in the door, still loaded. That was March 1st. The evidence in this case will prove to you, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the defendant is guilty of knowing second-degree murder and the alternative charge of reckless second-degree murder for killing Caitlin Nafziger. It will also prove that he committed the crimes of reckless conduct with a deadly weapon and endangerment of a child. The evidence will prove to you that the defendant was not provoked when he pulled that trigger, and that the killing of Caitlin Nafziger was not justified. When asked by a detective if Caitlin had threatened to harm anyone, he said no. When asked by a detective if he knew he was endangering Elowen by firing a gun so close to her, he said yes. The evidence will prove to you that the defendant caused Caitlin's death merely because he was angry and nothing more. You will hear testimony during this trial from state troopers and police officers who will describe how they investigated this case and how they gathered important pieces of evidence. You will hear from the medical examiner who conducted an autopsy of Caitlin's body. An intelligence analyst with the New Hampshire State Police will describe for you how she used cell phone location data to map the defendant's movements before he turned his phone off. You will hear testimony from an expert firearms examiner who will tell you that the gun that fired the bullet that killed Caitlin was the defendant's. And you will hear what the defendant told the police when they interviewed him and when he confessed. His version of the story. After his arrest, the defendant spoke with the state police at length. That interview was audio and video recorded. you will be able to see it for yourselves. You will be able to
we'll
see
be able to hear it.
the defendant's body language, his demeanor, and his tone of voice. You will see that the defendant was calm and in control when he described killing Caitlin Nafziger. I've already shown you a few of the things that he said during that interview. You will see those and more presented during this trial. Those statements are just some of the evidence that will prove that the defendant is guilty. Caitlin is dead. She is dead because the defendant became angry when she refused to leave his apartment. And she is dead because she would not stop holding her 4-year-old daughter. And that made the defendant mad. So he grabbed his gun, took Caitlin's daughter away from her, and shot her in the head. After you have heard all the evidence in this case, it will be up to you, the jury, to deliberate and deliver a verdict. When that time comes, when you have had all of the evidence placed in front of you, you will know, beyond a reasonable doubt, that the defendant is guilty. You will know that the defendant murdered Caitlin Nafziger. Just like the defendant knew from the moment that he fired his gun, you will know that he's guilty.
Pretty good. Pretty good open there.
Certainly.
Defense has to approach. Let's see, what are you going to do? Plea? Yeah, that's terrible. There's the defendant right there. In a suit. Dustin Duren. I haven't seen his face yet. Not sure what we're going to count in this trial. It was a very good opening, very, very clean. A lot of times a crime like this or can be very complicated, and this one isn't. Obviously, it has some issues and some things that are going to be argued in court by the two sides if we proceed through this trial. But it enabled the prosecutor to present the facts of the case almost like it's cut and dried. Like, this one's going to be easy for you. And that probably helps the jury a ton. I think he's got, I think he's got a solid case. Still noisy here. What's Dustin Duren at the defense table? That's his name. That's the defendant's name. Not sure what exactly is on the paper, what it's for, but maybe it's marking his seat. They say there's a law that you can defend another if you think another is about to be kidnapped. Man. In his house, I guess their house. Still got a lot of noise going on. So let me watch this. He wanted her to leave. That's different. She wouldn't leave. Kidnapping, you'd think they'd have to leave to perform it. Staying in your house, in the same house that you live, would be different. And he talked to the police because he's claiming that he did it in defense of others. We're in New Hampshire today.
This case is about broken promises, secret plans, and a father's unyielding love.
That's one way to put it.
It's about a Marine reacting to a threat toward his beloved daughter. A horrific tragedy, but not a criminal offense. Dustin Duren is not guilty. Dustin, a Marine veteran, responded to a threat when he shot Caitlin one time. He saw his daughter being held hostage in front of him. He believed his daughter was in danger of being hurt, in danger of being a pawn in a custody dispute, in danger of being taken away from him, in danger of being kidnapped. The law allows for deadly force to be used against another in certain circumstances. The law says Dustin's actions were justified. He's not guilty of murder. He is not guilty of reckless conduct. He is not guilty of endangering the welfare of a child. You will hear that Caitlin agreed with a plan to let Dustin take their daughter Elowen to Berlin, New Hampshire from Minnesota, and that she would follow later with their younger daughter Valen. You will hear that she later changed her mind, but did not tell Dustin. Instead, she flew to Boston with their 1-year-old Valen, and then planned with her aunt to take Elowen and Valen from their father in the middle of the night while he was sleeping. To carry out the secret plan, Caitlin and Valen went to Berlin, stayed the night at Dustin's, and then ignored Dustin's requests for her to leave. Dustin decided he would need to bring Caitlin back to the seacoast where her aunt lived. And when he tried to get the kids ready to leave, Caitlin told Dustin no, she was not leaving. She demanded Dustin pay her more money. She threatened Dustin she was going to call the police and lie to them, accusing him of kidnapping Elowen. She told Dustin she was taking the kids back to Minnesota and he would never see them again. While making these threats, Caitlin remained seated on the couch, holding on to Elowen. She would not let go of Elowen when Dustin tried to free her. She gripped Elowen. She tugged Elowen. She bear hugged Elowen. Elowen was being held hostage right in front of Dustin. Dustin did not want to hurt Elowen. She was crying. He was worried she was being hurt. On the third attempt to free Elowen from Caitlin's grip, Elowen let out a shriek. This was a startling and terrifying reaction that caused something in Dustin to tick. In his fear for Elowen and his need to protect her, he walked a couple feet over to his desk, got his gun, chambered around, pulled Elowen to safety, and fired one round into Caitlin's head. Dustin Duren defended his daughter. He is not guilty. You will hear that evidence through the state's case and through the defense's case. But now I want to talk to you about Dustin.
Okay, there's setting up for the defense to testify.
And he is a Marine. These two things shape his identity and his decision-making.
3 times they mentioned he's a Marine.
Dustin enlisted with the Marines when he was 18 years old.
There's 4. We count
He
that.
received extensive training in firearms. He was drilled with firearms, expected to be able to assemble, load, aim, and shoot a firearm quickly, automatically, without conscious thought. Use of a firearm became automatic and instinctual to him, something that he could do quickly, accurately, and without forethought. He was trained to use a firearm to respond to threats. You will hear that Dustin was the most proficient shooter in boot camp and the squadron high shooter during annual marksmanship training.
There's references to military all
He became
throughout
a
this.
certified marksmanship coach and taught hundreds of Marines how to perfect their shooting. You will also hear that Dustin had been diagnosed with service-connected PTSD,
There's the PTSD.
and has suffered bouts of depression in the past. Before meeting Caitlin in 2019, Dustin felt like his life was meaningless. He had no real purpose, no real reason to live. But shortly after beginning a relationship with Caitlin, she became pregnant with their first child. Dustin's mental health began to improve. He was beginning to believe he had a purpose, having a family. He and Caitlin lived together at his parents' home. Soon after Elowen was born, they moved to Las Vegas and lived there together. Dustin was Elowen's primary caretaker. He and Elowen were bonded. At her very first Christmas, Caitlin flew home to Minnesota, leaving Dustin and their 1-year-old Elowen behind.
Maybe behind
You will
Ozzy.
hear that Dustin's memory of that Christmas burns
They've already
bright to this
mentioned it.
day. Dustin was feeling awful about the meager Christmas he could only provide for his daughter, but her pure joy that day shifted his whole mindset. He saw her big smile and her joy, and it was a pivotal moment in his life. He thought, this is my purpose. This is my life. Elowen. From that moment, it was like a whole world had changed. Dustin's view on everything had changed. His entire life turned to Elowen. The two were bonded. Eventually, Caitlin became pregnant with their second child, Valen. She was born in Las Vegas in January of 2023. By July of 2023, Dustin and Caitlin separated, and all four returned to Minnesota. Dustin moved back in with his parents. Caitlin moved in with a friend. For several months, they tried co-parenting. After a few months of this arrangement, Dustin and Caitlin came to a compromise in which they would both move to New Hampshire but live separately. They decided that Dustin would travel by car to New Hampshire first, taking Elowen with him, and then Caitlin would fly out later with 1-year-old Valen and leave her with Dustin. Caitlin would then return to Minnesota for a few months to work and save some money, and then move to New Hampshire permanently in the early summer when she would have seasonal employment with her Aunt Brenda in Hampton. Dustin prepared for the trip to New Hampshire. He found an apartment in Berlin and showed Caitlin photos of the apartment. Caitlin gave Dustin a bunch of Elowen and Valen's stuff to take with him. The day Dustin left, he picked Elowen up from where Caitlin lived, at her friend's house, and Caitlin willingly handed over Elowen. Caitlin did not call the police. She did not report a kidnapping. She agreed to this plan. On their trip east, Dustin called and texted Caitlin several times with updates. He sent pictures of Elowen. After Dustin got to New Hampshire, he and Caitlin had several arguments over the phone about money. Caitlin wanted to claim both girls on their taxes and wanted Dustin to send her money. Caitlin threatened to call the police and falsely claim that Dustin had kidnapped Elowen and had taken her to New Hampshire without Caitlin's permission. Dustin was worried that Caitlin wouldn't bring Valen and that the girls would be separated. You will hear that when Caitlin made this threat a few weeks before this incident, Dustin was alarmed. He called Caitlin's mother. He called Caitlin's father. He called the Berlin Police Department. He offered to let Caitlin claim both girls on their taxes, paid for her plane ticket to New Hampshire, and sent her some money. 2 weeks later, Caitlin and Valen did fly to Boston, as planned, on the 27th of February. Dustin knew when they would arrive in Boston, but no other details, because Caitlin did not share those. He did not know how Caitlin and Valen were getting to Berlin or when. He did not know if Caitlin planned on staying in Berlin or where she would stay. He assumed she wanted to stay a couple days in Berlin to visit with Elowen and offered for her to stay with him and the girls, but Caitlin declined this invitation. Caitlin had other plans, secret plans she did not share with Dustin. You will hear about the plan that Caitlin created with her Aunt Brenda. Brenda will tell you that she lives in Hampton. She spoke to Caitlin about her visit to New Hampshire. She will tell you that Caitlin and Valen flew into Boston and shuttled to Seabrook, where Brenda and her friend picked them up. Brenda will tell you that Caitlin and Valen spent the night in Hampton, and while there, Brenda and Caitlin came up with a plan to take the kids from Dustin.
Objection. Reproach. Yep.
He approaches. Got some books to put back. Where do they go? All right, let's see if we can get some things tweaked here. We're counting PTSD and Marine. Now, there have been a lot of references. Talked about boot camp, talked about service, talked about, some of his, what was the platoon or something, which we haven't counted, so I'm not sure how wide we should cast that net. But is an objection in the opening? Probably. I didn't hear exactly what it was about. I thought it was about the plan. She had secret plans or something. I'm wondering if this might have been something that's approaching a motion in limine. What I did not hear was Amber Alert. I mean, I've said it, but did I miss that? Would the motion in limine get granted? She made a plan to take the kids. I guess that plan only comes from him now, right? So I guess, or are we going to hear from the aunt? Yes, the state mentioned Amber Alert. Okay, thank you. 3 times for Amber. Wow. See, Ozzy, I do it too. So I missed Amber Alert. Counting the sidebars, we're at 2 so far on this one. We had one right before the defense began their opening statement. Give it just a second to be done, and then I'll bring your audio back. Maybe we just jump to 7. How's the audio here?
While Caitlin was visiting with her Aunt Brenda the night before she met Dustin, Brenda and Caitlin came up with a plan to take the kids from Dustin. Brenda will tell you that she agreed to bring Caitlin and Valen to meet up with Dustin and Elowen, drop them off, and wait a day or 2 for Caitlin to call her for a ride back with both of the girls. Caitlin would sneak the 2 kids out while Dustin was sleeping, and Brenda would pick them up and take Caitlin and her kids to the airport to fly back to Minnesota. Caitlin already had a return ticket to Minnesota, and Brenda was going to buy a ticket for Elowen. And Valen was young enough that she could sit on her mom's lap. You will hear that when Caitlin texted Dustin that Brenda was driving her up, Dustin suggested they meet up at a spot halfway between Hampton and Berlin. And he found a restaurant in Ossipee. Dustin believed that Caitlin and Brenda would have a meal with him and the girls, and then Caitlin and Brenda would return to Hampton, while Dustin and the girls would head north to Berlin. The next day, Dustin and Elowen drove to Ossipee and got to the restaurant first, where they waited inside the restaurant, waiting for Caitlin and Valen. When Caitlin arrived, she called Dustin, asking him to come outside and help with Valen's things. Dustin and Elowen went outside to meet Caitlin and Valen. Brenda was already gone. They put Valen's stuff in the car, and the 4 of them, Elowen, Valen, Dustin, and Caitlin, went into the restaurant to eat. Dustin and Caitlin did not have any real conversation. Dustin visited with Valen, Caitlin with Elowen. Caitlin started asking Elowen if she could come see Elowen's new house. Dustin was confused, since Caitlin had said she did not want to stay with them.
We're getting
Caitlin
confused.
did not speak directly with Dustin, instead saying things to Elowen for Dustin to overhear. Dustin agreed that Caitlin could spend a night. And so after dinner, all 4 of them got into Dustin's car, drove back to Berlin. Caitlin sat in the back seat with the girls. That night, Dustin slept in his bed with Valen, and Caitlin and Elowen slept on an air mattress between the bedroom and the living room. The next day, they all went to the Berlin Library for children's story time and arts and crafts. They came home and had lunch. Caitlin spent the afternoon playing with the girls and not speaking to Dustin. Dustin tried to ask Caitlin what her plan was when she was leaving, but Caitlin would not answer him. Dustin continued to ask, and Caitlin continued to ignore her all afternoon.
They're like children.
Caitlin played with Elowen and Valen in Elowen's bedroom, and every so often, Dustin would go to the doorway of the room and ask Caitlin when and how she was leaving. Caitlin did not respond. At one point, she picked up her phone and started using it. Dustin didn't know if Caitlin was messaging someone. Her silence was telling. Dustin was suspicious. Caitlin's behavior concerned him. Something was off. Eventually, once it started to get dark, Dustin told Caitlin that since she wasn't responding, he was going to drive her all the way back to Hampton. And he told Caitlin it was time to leave. Dustin was stressed because it was a long drive, and by the time he dropped Caitlin off in Hampton and then drove all the way back to Berlin with the girls would have been up all night. Caitlin sat down on the couch. Dustin put Valen in a car seat and sat on the hallway floor. He went back into the living room and saw Caitlin go over and pick up Elowen, return to the couch, and set Elowen on her lap. Elowen straddled Caitlin's knee. Dustin told Caitlin, "Come on, we're leaving," and tried to take Elowen to get her ready to go. Caitlin tugged Elowen tightly and pulled her back, wrapping her arms around Dustin's daughter in a bear hug. Dustin let go and asked Caitlin to let go of Elowen, and Caitlin said no. Dustin kept asking Caitlin to let go of Elowen and get ready to leave. Caitlin started demanding Dustin pay child support, give her $2,000 per month. Caitlin told Dustin she was going to take Elowen and Valen back to Minnesota and Dustin would never see them again. Caitlin again threatened Dustin that she would call the cops and tell them Dustin had taken Elowen without permission. Caitlin was still holding on to Elowen, her arms wrapped tightly around Elowen, restraining her. Caitlin told Dustin again that he would never see his kids. Dustin felt like Caitlin was holding Elowen hostage. He was seeing his daughter held hostage in front of his eyes. He kept begging Caitlin to let go of Elowen and to just get ready to leave. Caitlin refused and kept saying she was taking the kids and he would never see them again. At this point, Valen was crying. Elowen was upset and crying. The situation was overwhelming. Dustin tried again to free Elowen, but Caitlin yanked her away again. Dustin didn't want to force anything, so he just let Elowen go. He tried again to persuade Caitlin to let go of Elowen, and she refused. She continued to threaten Dustin. Dustin didn't know who Caitlin had been messaging on her phone, whether there was someone outside waiting. He was suspicious. He was concerned. He was fearful. Dustin could see his gun on the desk in the living room in close proximity to Caitlin. Dustin knew that Caitlin knew how to use the gun. He himself taught her how to handle and shoot a gun.
He kept a loaded gun just sitting
He
there.
couldn't take his eyes off Caitlin and Elowen while Caitlin was holding Elowen hostage right next to a firearm. Dustin tried one more time to take Elowen. He tried to hold one of Caitlin's wrists while wrapping his arm behind Elowen so that he could free Elowen from Caitlin's bear hug. Caitlin did not let go and instead got more aggressive. She braced her foot against the living room table and pulled back hard. Elowen screamed, a piercing cry like she was in pain. Immediately,
because the parents are playing
everything
tug-of-war
felt
with her.
extremely dire to Dustin, like Elowen was in immediate danger. Hearing Elowen scream was like a tick. The only thing he was thinking was that he had to save Elowen. In an autonomous motion, like he had been trained by the military, he grabbed his gun. He had no thoughts in his head other than he needed to save Elowen. He acted instinctually automatically and reflexively. In less than 3 seconds, he grabbed the gun, pulled Elowen out of the way, and eliminated the threat, shooting Caitlin in the head. Elowen was safe in Dustin's arms. He is a Marine. He acts like a Marine. He did what a Marine is trained to do. Dustin saved Elowen. Dustin took the girls and left the apartment in his Subaru. He needed to make sure the girls were okay and to get out of that apartment. He didn't want Elowen to see anything. After driving south for about 2 hours, he stopped for gas in Concord. He called his mom and told her he shot Caitlin. He asked for his dad to call the police. He also sent them a video of the girls in the car at that moment to show them the girls were safe. He said he was going to spend a few more hours with the girls before he turned himself in. And that's what he did. He spent a few more hours driving with, talking with the girls, making sure they were okay, making sure they knew he loved them, before turning around and driving back to New Hampshire. He planned to get breakfast with the girls before he turned himself in, but the police located him before he was able to do so.
So he didn't turn himself in.
And you will see Dustin's arrest on video. You will see how he complied with the police commands, how he warned the police there were kids in the car, how he warned them there was a gun in the driver's side door, and he then gave a lengthy interview to the police. And the state will probably show you Dustin's interview and what he told them after his arrest. This is a case about broken promises, secret plans, and a father's unyielding love.
She goes back to her open.
It's about a Marine reacting to a threat toward his beloved daughter. A horrific tragedy, but not a criminal offense. Dustin is not guilty. At the end of the evidence, the judge will instruct you on the law, and he may explain to you that what the law allows when defending others. He may instruct you that a person is justified in using deadly force against another when he reasonably believes that such person is committing or about to commit a kidnapping, is likely to use any unlawful force against a person present while committing or attempting to commit a burglary, or is likely to use any unlawful force in the commission of a felony against the actor within his own dwelling or home. When he shot Caitlin,
thanks, Jade.
Dustin reasonably believed that Caitlin was about to kidnap Elowen and that Caitlin was using unlawful force to commit a crime.
Netflix called it
She
perfect.
was holding Elowen hostage in front of him, threatening that she would take his kids to Minnesota and he would never see them again. Caitlin would rather hurt Elowen than let her go. And when Caitlin hurt Elowen, Dustin acted to save her. Dustin's entire life purpose was to be a good father for Elowen and Balin, and he did what he believed was necessary to protect Elowen. The judge may instruct you. You cannot convict Dustin unless the state proves to you not only that Dustin killed Caitlin, but that he did so without justification. You must find Dustin not guilty unless you are convinced beyond a reasonable doubt that Dustin did not act to defend his daughter and prevent a kidnapping. The state will not meet its burden. Dustin was justified under the law. He acted to protect his daughter. After hearing all the evidence, we are confident you will find him not guilty.
She's stressing the not. Autobot gal, 6 more months, you'll be turned pink. Wonderful. And congratulations. I think you're an OG.
Okay,
also a member on the jury.
All right,
Thanks
members
for your
of the
support.
jury, as I said, we typically take a mid-morning break and
But-
lunch break and a mid-afternoon break before we start with the first witness. I think it's appropriate right now to take a mid-morning break. I'm going to instruct you on several matters right now before we take our first break. First of all, as you heard me say before, you are not allowed to discuss any aspect of the case or any aspect of the evidence amongst yourselves until we get to the conclusion of the trial, until we finally get to deliberations. So it's extremely important that you not do that, and I instruct you not to do that. Further, I instruct you that if you do hear of anybody among your jurors that if you overhear two jurors talking about the case, I instruct you to please tell one of the court security officers about that. That's something very important that you not do. Talk about it. So if one of you does hear two others talking about it, that needs to be informed to a bailiff as well. And as you can see, there is some members of the media here. As I said to you last time during jury selection, I'm advising you to pay no attention to any news reports whatsoever with respect to any aspect of the trial. And I also, because of modern social media, I'm further instructing you not to communicate with anyone about anything that's happening during the course of the trial. You'll hear me make these instructions to you many times over the course of the trial, but it's my duty just to do so. I have no doubt that you will follow my instructions. So again, please do not discuss the case, and we'll get started in about 10 or 15 minutes. It's 10:33, so we'll try to get started right at by 10:50. And so with that, we'll take our first break. Okay? Thank you.
Break time it is. While they get ready for break, I'm just looking at the prosecution's witness list here. This was filed, let's see, 8/27. So it's a couple months ago. So I think the most recent copy. This is the state's witness list. They have 30 New Hampshire State police officers on the list. Obviously, they're not going to call all of them. Berlin Police Department, they've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 more from Berlin. Keene Police Department, they've got another 6. Coos County Department of Corrections, they have 3. They've got another 5 from other law enforcement agencies such as Berlin Fire Department, Anoka County Sheriff's Office, Coos County Sheriff's Department, Gorham Police Department, Coos County Sheriff's Department. They have 5 expert witnesses, and then a ton, like another 30 or so, civilian witnesses. So there are a lot of people on here. And lots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 custodian of records. So yeah, there's a ton on the state's list of possible witnesses. Doesn't mean they're going to call them. Okay? It doesn't mean we're getting 100 witnesses on the stand. But there are possibilities that could be called. On the defense side, on the other side, defense's witness list, there are 2. Roger Pittman, Arthur Boughton. So it could be one-sided a little bit as far as the witness count goes. But let's see, just 1 second here. Michelle Johnson, member for 8 months. Welcome to the gallery. This is a pretty wild case. I was expecting in the open for the state to reference a little more thoroughly the specific law that justifies the action that they're claiming Justin was taking in defense of kidnapping, lethal force. They did say the judge may instruct you that, that unless you are 100% sure that he did not have a justified reason, you must find him not guilty, which was sort of convoluted, unless you had to keep saying the not guilty. A couple things that stood out immediately to me. Dustin's story. We only have one side. We might get some family members saying they were texting with Caitlin and get a little bit of perspective there, but we only have her story through him. And half the story is, all day she wouldn't talk to me. I kept asking her every 15 minutes, what you doing? What you doing? What are you doing? What are your plans? What are you doing? What are you doing? Now tell me, are you talking now? Are you talking now? It sounded very childish. And then in the moment right before he shoots her, suddenly she says all the things that are needed to have this be in defense of others trial. Right? She says, I'm going to kidnap the kids. I'm going to take them away and you won't know where they are and you'll never find them. That's what she goes to first. After all day of not speaking, she repeats these things. I'm about to commit a felony. I'm about to harm these children or take them from you unlawfully without your permission. I'm not saying it didn't happen, but that's her go-to. Every utterance we have from her during that day, according to him, was her admitting to planning a felony. He sent an updated witness list to Mod Chat. Thank you. I'll take a look at that. I'm hoping it's a little bit shorter. I think this is what I have already. Yeah, that's the one I got. We've got the same thing. Ooh, train. Did you guys hear it? We can count trains. I'm sorry, I have a thing for trains. We're getting rid of the PTSD and the Marine mentions. And we're going with the choo-choo. It's faint. It's in the distance. You'll have to listen carefully. But while they're quiet, let me see if I can... Okay, I've got to make the sound go in one ear for just a second, okay? Give me a second. We'll fix it. For some of you, the sound went away entirely. That's okay. Give me just a second. We're going to see if we can minimize the TikTok. There's another train, by the way. Give me a second. Now they get rid of everything. I can't fix it anymore. All right, train is gone. Train is gone. Bug Dugger. Let me bring back stereo again. 3's off. I did turn down the typing sound just a little bit, the high end. We'll turn that back on. Now we got stereo again. Bug Dugger, choo-choo. Ari loves it. I do. I like trains. We'll count the train horns. Where else did we do that? What other trial did we count the train horns in? Kells Bells gifted 5 memberships. Kells Bells, thank you for your generosity as well. You are absolutely amazing. Looks like great people receiving those gifts. Congratulations. Stephanie, the YouTube name, gifted a membership as well. Go Packers. Yay, Stephanie. Thank you very much for your support as well. You should count the TikToks. That would be fun. Well, we'd know how many there were just by basically how long the case went. Did we change the counter? I saw it was like 5 or 6 and now it's 2. Yes, Big Sky, we did. I heard a train and immediately I got distracted because I love train whistles. And we ditched the Marine/PTSD counter for trains, if that's okay. AA Granny gifted a membership as well. Thank you very much. Tasha, congratulations. You've got a new name there, AA Granny. Same profile picture, but new name. We counted trains and Karens. Yes, that was right. No, those were sirens. Special K, I think. It's our squirrel counter, yes. Cat Grow, thank you very much. Choo Choo, 10 months. Cat Grow, thank you. It would not be the same without you here. Thank you for your support. But what kind of train was it? It was a freight train, I can tell you that. As far as the actual company name, I'm not sure. Counted the sirens. Yes, we did. Thank you, Stephanie. Appreciate your support as well. KT Russin just gifted another 10 memberships. Everyone's going green again. Wow. Thank you, KT Russin, for your support as well. You guys are amazing. A little break this morning in court, as the judge says we have a break in the morning, then we take lunch, then we have a break in the afternoon, then we go home. And again, holy cow. This is... So look, KT Russin, you gifted these memberships. But it says, on the name of the gifted receiver, it says, like, JMO received a gifted membership by Court Junkie KDR. So YouTube hasn't quite changed your name entirely. It still knows who you are. That's interesting. We lived across the street from the tracks. I learned the difference between freight train whistles and Amtrak whistles. All right, we'll give it a minute here to play out. I'm probably going to resize this, I think, actually. Let me resize the little button. Can I do that? Make it take up less space. I mean, this is good and all, but it's just, it's huge. It's huge. All right, we'll get that resized. Need to get a little Christmas tree. Maybe this was the sign I needed to make it happen. A little train to go around the Christmas tree, around the presents. Choo-choo. Carla. I'm still gray, but that's okay. I know I'm an OG. Carla, thank you very much for being an OG. I appreciate you. Are we counting the train since we can't hear the train you're able to hear? Yes. Yes, Josh. Buy yourself some very fine headphones and listen closely. Crank the volume up until you get a headache, and then you too will hear the trains. Yes, now I'm shopping for one. Can I move up in the opposite corner? Like...
I'm trying to have pork. Don't raise your voice.
Which corner are you looking at? Go over here? Because then I'd be in chat. I sort of have to be down here. That's like the place where people look for me. So, all right. Looks like we might be coming back here in just a minute. Prosecution's going to run out and get their little drink of water or whatever it is they do. The defendant looks sort of smiley. Hope the prosecution calls the aunt first. I think he's going to... I'm guessing that the normal way to do this is to call the police officers who were first responders. That would be our first one up. Or possibly, chronologically by way of involvement, maybe start with the guy that arrested him. But that seems like a weird place to start because that's sort of the end of the story as far as he was concerned. If I ever become green, I demand my time be retroactive. Atticus PMA. I'll put an emotion for that. I'm not sure. My word doesn't go very far with YouTube. But Linda Lou, 33, member for 13 months. My new grandbaby is exactly 1 month old today. Congratulations. Love this channel. Thanks, RA, and love you all. Congratulations, Linda Lou. That is awesome. A 1 month old to spoil. It's going to be great. A little man in the corner from the Ferris trial. That's me. Why not call the police before taking such deadly actions? It seems like it wasn't... A couple things. The daughter wasn't in danger while she was just sitting on the mom's knee. You could call the police and they could resolve everything. The danger to the daughter only happened when the parents started playing tug-of-war with her. And literally, she screamed because it hurt. The two sides were pulling her opposite directions, which is just, I mean, We talk about kids being the ones that are hurt when the parents fight. It shouldn't be literal, right? It should not be literal. Sloth Life just gifted 5 memberships as well. Thank you very much, Sloth Life, for your generous support of the channel. Appreciate you very, very much. Let's see. KT Russin, member for 10 months at the attorney level. 10 months, so close to Pink Courthouse. Now my bestie Sue needs a membership. Sue, make sure you've got gifts received. Received options selected as on. You know what I'm saying. Turn on your gifts option. How old is the daughter? They were 1 and 4 when this happened. Way, way, way too young. I'm a little bit curious about the gun itself, just from a firearm perspective. The Marine background, I'm wondering if he was using a Beretta 92. The 92 model was used for a long time in, I know they had it in the Air Force, but it's like the traditional Beretta that you would see on a. You saw the gun a lot on TV. It was a big TV gun, right? It was actually the first gun I wanted to buy was the Beretta 92 and a 9mm. I, for some reason, when I went to buy my first gun, decided not to get it. And then later on, did buy a Beretta in a 9mm. I bought the Mini Cougar version, which is like a smaller, shorter barrel length version, easier to carry concealed. I got the Mini Cougar. The worst gun I've ever owned. It was terrible. The spring was too powerful. The action was not smooth. It was built well. It was designed well. So like the parts that were smooth as far as they worked, but it wasn't fun to shoot, and you had to literally brace yourself into the gun and be holding it forward against the recoil so there would be enough power to cycle the round, unless you were using high power 9mm rounds, extra gunpowder. Sold it. Didn't like it. Didn't like it at all. Never going to go back. Well, I did buy one more Beretta after that, but it was a 22 Tomcat, a little tiny pistol, which I traded for a guitar. Yay! Let's see. Special K, she was not holding the child at the time. He was. Doesn't make it much better. They were still 3 feet apart. The gun was right next to the child when it went off, but the child wasn't directly in front of the gun when the shot was fired, allegedly. Once again, we only have his story, his version of the story. If he had removed the daughter from the lap, there's no immediate threat. The threat is gone. And then, I'm sorry, but making this sound like this is what the Marines train you to do. It was instinctive. It's been drilled into me. So from boot camp on, shoot people that aren't a threat. I don't buy that. I don't. I'm having a tough time with the defense story already. Amy P, 25, member for 9 months. Shout out Greeners for the membership. Having problems with my credit card. Love it here. Amy P, welcome. Greeners is great that way. Congratulations on the gifted membership. Beretta 92 was too big for my hands. It was too big to carry concealed. It's a wide gun with a double stack magazine. Let's see. Poor baby's ears. Yeah. First of all, just firing with a roof over your head, like if you're at a shooting range where they have a shelter, the roof over your head, just that one reflected sound is loud. And firing in an enclosed room with 4 walls, you can do some permanent damage to your ears really quickly. And a child's ears, yeah. I don't know the time length of this trial. I've only got the list of the witnesses, and it's long, with about 100 on the state's case. They're not going to call that many, but we'll see. If, as Recovery Addict suggests, Dustin conveniently spilled her guts to Dustin. Caitlin spilled her guts to Dustin about committing a felony is all BS, then how can we believe anything Dustin says about what happened? I think Dustin will have to take the stand because this is sort of a defense of others case. we need that evidence to come forward, but it's already been allowed in as far as the opening. Yeah. Amber, defense of others. She was going to kidnap the kids. That's the statement. Even though the defense attorney's already said she was texting people. That was suspicious. He didn't know what it was about. He assumed the worst. He sounds like he was paranoid, but might not have been founded at all. Yeah. All right. Let's see. I think I've got some more membership things I need to read here. Who do we miss? Marianne R65, member for 13 months. Favorite place to be. Thank you very much. Drama Llama Mama. Can't wait for my new color. 1 more month. Blue Star 22. Blue Star is 22. Member for 2 months. Soon to be an OG. Renee, thank you very much. Member for 20.
All right.
Wallflower, thank you very much. Autobody Gal on the jury. Michelle Johnson. Thank you, Kells Bells. Stephanie.
Council approach on scheduling?
Certainly.
Scheduling right now?
Absolutely.
Another sidebar. We're going to mute the audio for this because it gets crazy. Francis Fitzgerald, wedding week. My daughter getting married on Saturday, and the family will be coming in all week. I can't wait. Everyone hit like. Thank you very much, Francis. 16 months. Winnaboo 258. Been gone for a while, but glad to be back. Ari, last saw you had a nice beard. What happened? I washed my face and it fell right off. Linda Lou 33, member for 13 months. Thank you very much. New grandbaby here, 1 month old. Sloth Life gifted some memberships, 5 of them. KT Russin, thank you very much for your 10 months of support. Attorney level, padded, reclining seats. It doesn't get better than that. Thank you. Amy P, also shout out to Greeners. I think I got everybody I missed. I've got to manually work the static. Make sure it's not staticky. Let's go here. 6. Yeah, that's really, really annoying. Still annoying. A little bit better, but we'll figure it out. All right, they're done. Here we go.
Okay, and before we reconvene the jury, just a few quick comments about the layout of the courtroom for purposes of the record. I did not want to take the time to do that first thing this morning. I wanted to get started. But just to confirm, there is a large television monitor that is aimed at roughly a 45-degree angle towards the jury box, which has been provided by the state. There's also a smaller monitor which is directed towards the gallery. There's also a monitor on defense counsel table and also a monitor at the judge's bench up here. So a total of 4 monitors that have been outlaid around the courtroom. I've indicated to defense counsel that if at any point that their monitor ceases to work, to let me know immediately, and we will adjust as necessary with respect to that matter. And I will try to keep my eye out open for it, but in case anything does change, in case the layout does change during the course of the trial, please let me know, just so that I can adequately reflect for purposes of the record the layout of the courtroom. Any comments in response to my comments, counsel?
Yes, it's about a 44-degree angle.
Certainly.
Not actually 45-degree angle. I'm not sure. I've never had the judge give the geometric layout of the monitors before for the record, but now we know who can see and where they can see it at. The one facing the gallery, maybe for us. We maybe get to point the camera at that. That was a cute joke. Oh my goodness. Don't be so obtuse, screeners. Let's see. Judge smokes like a steam train. Choo-choo. we may be able to see that smaller monitor if the camera gets a clear shot of it. And we'll wait for just a second here.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Thank you.
7. Snow Leopard says it feels like yesterday. By the way, 22 months on the jury. OG. Feels like yesterday I thought subscribing meant following and ended up paying money before even being a channel follower. Snow Leopard, thank you very much. Appreciate that. AC's Wildflower, member for 18 months. Seems like yesterday I was looking for someone covering Maya to listen to while working outside. Glad I found y'all. AC's Wildflower, I think you're an OG as well. Thank you very much. That clicking noise is the tick-tock of the clock and the pending inevitable result, which the jury will bring.
Thank you. I'm good.
Just angling to make you laugh. The camera will have to be pointed at the monitor for us to see. That's correct. Emily Jane, good luck. Sounds like the interview was great. Jason Garrison, welcome.
All set?
Thanks for clicking the subscribe button. Bring the jury, Judge. Bring the jury. Amy, that's pretty much what defense has said.
Superior Court is again in session. The Honorable Jonathan F. Frizzell presiding.
Good morning, thank you. Please be seated.
The state calls Detective Sergeant Eric Benjamin.
Detective Sergeant Eric Benjamin, first on the list today, first witness.
Would you like me to swear the witness?
Please.
Sir, could you raise your hand? Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give is the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Please have a seat.
Thank you.
He's from the Berlin Police Department.
Sir, could you please introduce yourself and spell your last name for the jury?
Absolutely. My name is Eric Benjamin, E-R-I-C-B-E-N-J-A-M-I-N.
And sir, where do you work?
I work for the Berlin Police Department.
How long have you worked there?
I've worked there about 10 years now.
What is your current rank with the Berlin PD?
I'm a detective sergeant.
In addition to your regular duties as a detective sergeant, are you also a member of something called the Emergency Response Team?
I am.
Could you please tell the jury what is the Emergency Response Team?
The Emergency Response Team is a group of officers who respond to high-risk situations which require additional training, equipment, and tactics to handle the situation appropriately.
And Detective Sergeant, would it be fair to say the Emergency Response Team that you're part of handles incidents like the one you described in the Berlin area and surrounding areas up kind of in the northern part of the state?
Yes.
Do you have any role within the Emergency Response Team?
I do.
What is that?
I am the team leader.
Detective Sergeant, on February 29th of 2024.
All right, we're having some issues.
Of the Emergency Response Team that day.
I did.
Oh, yeah, time.
I received the first call around 11 p.m.
Is that standard that even if you're not on shift as a police officer that you can be called for emergency response team issues?
Yes.
Who was that phone call from?
That was from Sergeant Dennis Gale.
And what information did you receive?
The initial information I received was that there was a situation at a residence in Berlin in which the information known at that time was there was a male that had contacted his father stating that he had just killed his girlfriend.
Did that information include anything about children?
It did. There were 2 children that were allegedly with the male at the time, and their whereabouts were unknown.
As a result of receiving that information, what did you do?
Our team was activated as part of my role as the team leader. I spoke directly with our commander of the team, and we activated to the Berlin Police Department, where we set up an an immediate action team.
When you got to the Berlin PD and set up an action team, what did you do?
We responded to a separate location near the residence where we met other personnel from the team.
When you did that, were you dressed in your normal police uniform?
I was not.
What were you wearing?
Due to the nature of the call and as well as the emergency response team's roles, we were wearing body armor, helmets, rifles, the appropriate response for that type of call.
Is that standard for emergency response team operation?
It is.
Did you, so you mentioned that you went to a location near the apartment that was involved, is that right?
Correct.
How did you get there?
We assembled in the Bearcat.
Just generally, can you tell
The Bearcat's an armored vehicle.
The Bearcat is a piece of armored vehicle that we respond with our team in.
Okay, I'll let you tell him.
So what particular location were you focused on? What it's called?
The residence we were focused on was 1063 Main Street in Berlin.
And did you get the name of the male involved who you mentioned that had called his father?
I did.
What was the name you got?
Dustin Duran.
How many members did you gather for your team?
Initially, there were 4 of us and a medic.
So you mentioned you went to the area nearby 1063 Main Street in Berlin?
Yes.
Could you describe that area of Berlin where 1063 Main Street is?
It's right along Main Street. It's a residential area, multiple houses, a couple businesses near there, as well as a community park.
This time I move to introduce States Exhibits 1, 2, 3A, 3B, 3C by agreement. You can strike it.
Okay.
The ID may be stricter than each shall be considered full exhibits.
Thank you, Sergeant. Can we see the screen over there?
Yes.
You need to get up and move this.
Okay.
So we're talking about 1063 Main Street. What do you see here?
Oh, I'm not just
Oh, he gets to wander around.
So this is States Exhibit 1. Please tell us what you see there.
That's an overview of the city.
And that's the city of Berlin, New
City of
Hampshire.
Berlin, yeah.
See down in the lower right corner, you see a marking for 1063?
I do.
And is that an accurate representation of where 1063 Main Street is?
Yes.
And then you see some other markings there for the City Hall and the library, are those accurate as well?
Yes.
Are those generally in the downtown area in the center of the photo?
Yes.
And if you want to approach the screen, I believe you can do that. And then up in the left, you see a red circle with a white cane. Can you point that out for the jury?
Yes, right here.
Yeah. What is at that location?
That's a Circle K gas station.
And is there a bus stop at the Circle K gas station?
Yes, there is.
And what sort of buses service that bus station?
That's the Concord Trailways.
Okay. Thank you. And I'll keep you up here so you show up and down. We're showing you State's Exhibit 2. What is this?
That's a closer view near 1063 Main Street.
So that's Main Street in Berlin, and then that's 1063 where the red box is coming out?
Correct.
How many lanes of travel on Main Street?
2.
And is that, you describe the park on the other side, is that what you can see at the bottom of this photo?
Yes, the Heritage Park.
That last photo. What do you see there?
That's 1063 Main Street where we responded.
So I'll do all of this while we have you up here. Is 1063 Main Street a multifamily home?
It is.
Yes. Multiple apartments within that one structure?
Yes.
Is there a garage?
Yes.
All right. Can you see any of it in this photo?
Yes, you got right over here.
And is there a driveway?
Yes.
What side of the house is the driveway on?
The left side.
So go back here. You point out which side of the house the driveway is on?
Yes, right here, the left side.
Now back on Exhibit 3, is that the garage you can see down at the other end of that driveway on the left side?
Yes.
This is State's Exhibit 3B. Is this showing the driveway?
It's really
in that
quiet.
garage?
I'm trying to fix
Yes, it
this.
is. So how many bays in that garage?
3.
It's a separate structure from the house, right?
Correct.
Does the garage have an attic?
It does.
Where's the door to the garage?
All the way to the right side, you can see it open. This photo.
Last one, State's Exhibit 3C. What are we looking at here?
That's the rear of 1063 Main Street. Main entrance point.
So that white door in the middle there, is that the main entrance point from the parking lot?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Detective, you can get the witness stand. Detective, you mentioned that you received a phone call, went to Berlin PD, and then staged at a location near 1063 Main Street. Did you eventually go to 1063 Main Street?
Yes, I did.
And did you go there in that Bearcat that you described?
We did.
When you got did you park?
We parked right in that rear parking space right in front of the 3-bay garage.
What did you do at that point after you arrived?
So my role as a team leader is to convey basically what's going on the ground to the commander who makes the decisions as far as what we do next. At that point, we weren't sure whether or not Mr. Dern's vehicle was still in one of those 3-bay garages. If they may be inside a residence, we didn't really know. At that point, upon arrival, we decided to clear the 3-bay garage as there was a dormer up above that also posed a risk to our officers outside on the perimeter as well. So we made the decision to clear that garage first.
Before we talk about the garage, was there snow on the ground at that point?
There was.
And could you see any tracks in the snow when you were at?
There were tracks going to the one garage bay in particular more than others.
Detective Sergeant, when you say you cleared the garage, what do you mean?
We entered into the garage to make sure that there was nobody inside.
And we were also looking for the vehicle.
Yes.
Remember what kind of vehicle you were looking for?
I believe it was a small sedan.
Did you clear the garage?
We did.
Did you find anyone or anything in there?
No.
Was the defendant's vehicle, was the vehicle you were looking for in there?
No, it was not.
What did you do next after clearing the garage?
Based on the circumstances, we decided to make entry into the residence.
How did you go into the residence?
We went in through that white door you see on the rear of the building.
Was that door locked?
That was not locked.
When you got in through that door, what did you encounter?
There was a set of stairs that we later found to reach the other apartments in that building, as well as a door, which we later found reached the basement, which is a common area. And then there was another door straight ahead as we entered into this door here. And that was the main entrance pointing to Mr. Dern's apartment.
Is that door into the apartment locked?
Yes, it was.
How were you able to open it?
We utilized a ram to get through that door.
So if you could paint a picture, how many officers were with you at this time when you're entering into this apartment?
We had 4 of us on the immediate action team.
Where were you relative to those other 3?
So as the team leader, usually in the back, we call the stacks, the back of the group. So that's where I was. I was number 4 in that group.
After that door was breached, did the group go into that ground floor apartment?
Yes.
What did you see when you got in?
The apartment was completely black. So it took us a moment to get through the initial entryway until we later just briefly found the light switches that we turned on while we were in there.
So the door was locked and the lights were off and you went in. What did you and your teammates do?
We began clearing. There were initial rooms to the left and right, which we cleared to make sure there was nobody inside. And then we continued going straight into what we'd later find to be like kitchen area.
And tell us what you saw when you got to the kitchen area.
So the kitchen area opened up into 2 rooms, one to the left, one to the right. And at that point, we had multiple officers begin to go left and right from that kitchen area.
What happened next?
Deputy Green was the first person in front of me to the right. I was holding the room to the left with Sergeant Gale. We were able to start to make entry into the right room off the kitchen. And at that point, Deputy Green announced that there was a female victim on the couch with an apparent gunshot wound to the head.
What room was Deputy Green in?
That would be the living room.
Well, after hearing that from him, that he found a female with a gunshot wound to the head, what did you do?
We continued clearing the rest of the apartment to make sure that Mr. Dern and the children were not in there.
Did you find anyone else in the apartment?
No.
Did you go to the living room?
I did.
Tell us what you saw.
Again, we did an initial search of the apartment. I went to the female. I checked her to make sure she was in fact deceased. And while I was there, I noted several things. Her body was very cold. The appearance of her skin indicated to me, based on training and experience, that she had been there a while. I also noted a single shell casing to the right of the couch in the living room.
You mentioned an apparent gunshot wound. Where did you see that apparent gunshot?
The gunshot was to the side of her head.
Where was that female sitting, or position, I should say?
As I was facing the couch from the front, she was all the way to the right side.
So was she sitting or lying down?
She was kind of slumped over.
Where were her feet?
They were positioned in front of her.
Were any of her feet on the top of the table?
I don't believe so.
After observing, you mentioned observing a shell casing. Where did you see that?
I was directly to the right of the couch, right on the floor.
After seeing that female there and that shell casing, what did you do?
So based on the type of scene that we knew we had at that point, it was our job to maintain custody of the scene, to maintain the integrity of the investigation that we knew was forthcoming. So I made sure that there was an officer that stayed with the female victim while the rest of our team had to continue on to make sure that the other residents, if any, in the apartment were safe and secure, and that there wasn't a possibility Mr. Dern was anywhere else within that building.
What was the purpose of stationing an officer in that living room?
These type of investigations require us to maintain the integrity, and that means that nobody touches the body, nobody moves anything from the scene, and everyone's responsible for their own actions. So we post an officer with the body to make sure that all those are accounted for, all those things happen.
Other than checking for a pulse, did you or any other officers with you touch that body?
No.
Did you or any of those officers touch that shell case?
No.
Did you and the other officers then proceed to the rest of the building to clear it?
We did.
And what did you find that you did that?
There were multiple apartments within that structure that were empty. And we did note one resident on the top floor that we evacuated from the building.
Anyone in the second floor apartment?
No, I don't believe so.
Did you check the basement for people as well?
Yes.
Did you find anyone in the basement?
No.
Once that whole building was searched, what happened next?
I made sure I was the last one out, and I taped over the entry exit of that building, notified dispatch that I was the last one out, and I made sure I posted officers at locations around the residence that would maintain the custody of that building to make sure that nobody went in or out, and we would start a scene log at that point to make sure that anyone that did arrive on scene was logging in.
Was there a police tape put around the building as well?
There was.
Okay, Sergeant, you mentioned that the door into the apartment was locked. Can you tell us, is that locked with the knob or with the deadbolt?
I'm sorry, the first entry door or the door to the apartment?
Door to the apartment.
Yes, that had a deadbolt on it.
The deadbolt was locked?
Yes.
What further questions?
Morning, Sergeant.
Morning.
One question. The Maryland Police Department's phone number 603-752-3131.
Yes.
And if you were to Google that, that number would pop up.
I don't think so.
No more questions. Thank you.
Nothing further.
Okay, and Detective Sergeant Benjamin, step down.
Thank you, Aaron.
So they're saying there was no prior history of
Okay, thank you.
his firearm making his suit jacket stick out funny and back. No prior history at the address is the only thing that the defense wanted to know. Oh, look, there's a fan just for the witness. Lucky. Amazon Web Services having some issues today, affecting various and sundry things on the internet. Good thing I don't own it. Waiting for our next witness.
Around this time, the state would call Mark Duran.
Mark Duran, that sounds suspiciously like Dustin Duran's last name. I think we have our first civilian witness, the father of the defendant.
Duran, if you could remain standing and please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth of your pains and penalties of perjury today?
I do.
Thank you. You may be seated. Sir, could you please state your name for the record?
Mark Philip Duran,
Mr. Duran, where do you currently live?
in Pine City, Minnesota.
And for how long have you resided there?
About 4 years now.
How long have you lived in Minnesota?
Well, off and on most of my life.
What do you do for a living?
I'm retired.
And what did you do prior to retiring?
I was a deputy sheriff with Anoka County in Minnesota.
Yanoka County Sheriff's Department.
Yes.
Are you married?
Is
Yes.
he any
To whom are you
relation?
married?
Deborah Duran.
And how many children do you have together?
He's
We have 2 together.
Deborah's on the
You
witness
have one
list.
additional child?
I do.
Do you know the defendant seated to my right, my right at trial table?
Certainly do.
Who is that?
It's my son, Dustin Duran.
In terms of your children, is Dustin your oldest child, your middle child?
Middle child.
In February of 2024, where was Mr. Duran, the defendant, living?
in Berlin, New Hampshire.
Is it fair to say that, or I'm sorry, do you know how long he'd been living in Berlin, New Hampshire?
Approximately a month?
He'd moved there, in fact, in January of 2024.
Yes,
And prior to his moving to New Hampshire to live in Berlin, New Hampshire, did he reside with you in Minnesota?
he did.
Had you, through the course of having Mr. Duran live with you and being your son, met his girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, Caitlin Nafziger?
Yes,
And
That was the
this
victim.
may sound like a silly question, but you have in fact met his children, is that correct?
very much, yes.
Can you please identify
be in
the two
custody of the
children that Mr. Duran had with Ms. Nafziger?
Elwyn and Valen.
Elwyn is on the witness
In
list.
February of 2024, how old was Elwyn?
4,
And how old was Valen?
1.
Is it true that at this time you are currently sharing custody of Elwyn and Valen with Ms. Nafziger's family?
Yes,
Mr. Duran, I'm going to show you what is marked for evidence for identification as State's Exhibit 4 with respect to this case. That's going to take a look at this. Do you recognize what you're looking at?
yes.
What is it?
Caitlin and Elwyn.
This is fairly inaccurate. Show both of them in this image.
Yes,
Right at this time, the state requests the State's 4 be admitted into evidence.
Just got a little glance at them.
Objection.
The ID may be stricken and it shall be considered a full exhibit.
Now, Mr. Duran, in February of 2024, specifically on February 29th of 2024, did you make a call to the Berlin Police Department?
I did.
Can you explain to us why?
Dustin had called my wife, and she had informed me.
Based on a conversation you had with your wife, you called the Berlin Police Department?
Yes,
What did you tell the Berlin Police
Wait a
Department?
hearsay objection.
that I'd received information that Caitlin had been shot.
Did you tell the Berlin Police Department why Caitlin had been shot?
Yes,
Objection with the approachment.
There's an objection. Man, this is father and son. Dad's a retired sheriff, son accused of murdering his girlfriend. Interesting dynamic here. The dad who's on the stand is not looking a lot at his son. The son is looking down. It might be quite telling here. Dad also called as a witness by the state. Now he looks a little nod. That's it. Wow. So this is the state having called the dad. The dad made the call to 911 after the son called the parents and said, "Hey, I just killed my girlfriend. You should probably call the police. And I'm going to go dark for a while. I'm going to spend some more time with daughters, then I'm going to turn myself in." So we've avoided a couple hearsay objections, barely, but another one's been made by the state. Did look at the son, gave him a really loving, reassuring glance, then looked away. If you wonder what he's thinking, is he saying, "Hey, it's going to be okay, you're not guilty"? I mean, does he believe the son's story? Or is it justice will be done. Don't believe the child's old enough to be called. There may be a recorded forensic interview of the child. All I can tell you is that just looking at the state's witness list, Mark Duran, Deborah Duran, and Elwyn Duran are all listed. Those are the only Duran family members as civilian witnesses. Deborah is Mark's wife, I believe. Wife spoke to his son and then passed the info on to him. So the reason why from this witness does seem like hearsay. Yeah, it wouldn't be direct. Had the defendant talked directly to Mark, he could say all day what the defendant said on the phone, because that's a statement by party opponent. That's allowed in for sure. Against interest. Daughter is too young. I do wonder if they're going to bring in a taped copy of something. Do you know if it's too late to set your YouTube name before YouTube makes the names permanent? You can change them. We've been putting the instructions on how to change them up on the screen for the last several days. Red pen's got them right there. There it is. There's your instructions. Okay. Looks like we're done with the sidebar.
Okay, members of the jury, I'm going to allow Mr. Duran's answer to the state's question. I'm instructing you not to consider it for purposes of the truth
so it
of
was
the
a
matter
hearsay objection
with respect to what is contained in the statement, but instead you can consider it only for the specific reason of what was said to the Berlin Police Department at that time, and you shall consider it for no other purpose. Okay?
Mr. Duran, you indicated that you called the Berlin Police Department because you had received information that your son had shot and killed Miss Knapsinger. What did you tell the Berlin Police Department when you called them?
What did I tell them?
What did you tell them?
Exactly that I had received information from my wife that Dustin had shot Caitlin.
Did that information include why?
No.
You're indicating today that the defendant called your wife's phone, that's Deborah's cell phone?
Correct.
What is Deborah's cell phone number?
7.
We don't need to know. 8675309, the generic number we use in place of those. You can't remember?
Sorry. I can look at my phone if you want. I just called Deb on my phone.
Understandable, most of us do. Are you familiar with the cell phone number 7?
He can't remember his wife's number. Good thing they don't ask about their anniversary or her birthday.
Okay, so 7.
They keep mentioning the number.
Cellular phone number.
Correct.
What time of day did that call come to your wife?
I don't recall.
Foundation.
Sustained.
Were you present at home at the time the call came in?
I was.
Okay, and at what time did the call occur?
I don't recall.
Was it in the daytime or the nighttime?
It was in the evening.
When your wife received a call from your son, where were you?
I was in the living room watching TV.
What were you watching?
Ball game.
I don't recall.
True crime.
Where was your wife?
She was in the bedroom.
How long was your wife on the phone?
I would estimate 5 to 10 minutes.
It's a long
I wasn't
window.
present, so I don't know exactly.
At any point during this conversation where your son called and provided this information, did your wife leave the bedroom and come to the living room?
After the phone call, she came out and informed me.
Following that phone call, Did you and your wife receive a video?
Not that I'm aware of.
You didn't report to the Berlin Police Department or to state police that you received a video from your son?
I believe that was after.
So after that phone call ended, did you receive a video?
Yes.
Okay. What was that video?
Dustin and the girls in the car.
Where were they? Besides in the car, could you tell where they were?
I could not.
Did it look like you said they were in a vehicle? Did they look like they were inside of a garage, in a parking lot? What was the background?
I don't recall. I just recall the inside of the car and the occupants.
Following your 911 call or your emergency call to the Berlin Police Department, did you continue communicating with police?
I did.
You made, in fact, several phone calls to the police department, correct?
Correct.
At least 2 that evening?
Yes, ma'am.
And other officers called you?
Yes,
And you shared information with them?
I did.
Did you also share photographs of the defendant with the police?
I did.
Did you provide them with photographs of the 2 children?
Yes.
Mr. Duran, as a sheriff's deputy, were you assigned a service weapon?
Was.
Okay.
Several.
Several service weapons? When you retired from the sheriff's department, what did you do with those several service weapons?
I gifted one to my son Dustin and another to my son Nicholas.
What kind of gun did you give to Dustin?
It was a Beretta.
Beretta 9mm?
Yes.
Wow, it was his gun. It was a former police service weapon. So it might have been, what, a PX9?
County States Exhibit 20A, which is marked for identification purposes. You recognize this?
Yes, ma'am.
What is it?
It's a Beretta handgun.
Do you know if that is your service weapon that was a Beretta handgun?
I would not know unless I looked at the serial number.
You know the serial number for that weapon?
Not right offhand, no.
But you would recognize it if you observed it. Is that fair to say?
Not without looking at my records to identify the serial number.
But you gifted a gun just like that to your son Dustin, correct?
I did.
Yeah, I think the dad's on the son's side. The state is getting sort of edgy with him. He's giving caged answers.
Working on it. Thank you, Mr. Dorn. I have no other questions.
No defense.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Mr. You testify that you were a sheriff at the County Sheriff's Department in Minnesota
Correct.
for 19 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And have you, in your role as a sheriff, did you have to testify in court?
Yes, ma'am.
And you are aware of the importance of telling the truth, correct?
Absolutely.
And to be honest,
Yes.
and to be as complete and detailed as possible.
Yes, ma'am.
When you were watching TV in your living room, in Minnesota, on the night of February 29, 2024, you testified that Deb received a phone call.
Correct.
Did you hear her
receive that phone call, or did you find out after she came in and
I found out afterwards she came out of the bedroom hysterical.
But she was hysterical, she came out to talk to you. Prior to her coming out, you had no idea she received a phone call from Dustin?
I knew she was on the phone. I did not know who she was speaking with.
So Doug comes out hysterical and provides you information. And as a result of that, you called 911, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so when you called 911, you actually got Minnesota dispatcher, correct?
Correct.
And what did you report to them?
That I had received information from my wife that Caitlin had been shot.
Right, and did they transfer you to dispatch in New Hampshire?
Yes, ma'am.
So you didn't have to like hang up and call in somewhere, correct?
I don't believe so.
When you were transferred, you spoke to someone that from dispatch and gave them the same information, correct?
I did.
Answered all their questions.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Provided them information like your son's name, right?
Correct.
Caitlin's name,
Yes.
the kids' names.
Yes.
What Dustin drove for a vehicle,
Yes.
his address.
Yes.
You didn't leave anything out.
No.
You were concerned for your son
Yes. And for Caitlin.
and for Caitlin and for your grandchildren.
Yes.
You didn't speak to Dustin that night though, correct?
I did not.
You were not in Berlin on the night of February 29th, correct?
No.
You didn't see what Caitlin said that night, correct?
No.
You didn't hear what Caitlin said that night,
No.
correct? You didn't see what Caitlin did that night, correct?
Need some more background noise. I know it's get rid of the TikTok, but
Marine veteran, correct?
That's correct.
And what years did you serve?
1977 to 81.
And as a Marine, are you expected to be familiar with firearms?
I am.
As a Marine, are you expected to shoot firearms with precision?
Yes.
Are all Marines expected to be able to deliver well-aimed shots to eliminate the adversary?
Yes, ma'am.
Every Marine is a rifleman, correct?
Correct.
And every Marine, regardless of their specialty, go to infantry training, correct?
That's correct.
They're trained in ground combat, correct?
That's correct.
Everyone in the Marines is expected to be combat ready, correct?
That is correct.
Well, what does combat ready mean?
That at any time they could be called into a war zone.
And as a Marine, you're trained to be ready for combat and to be a combat marksman, correct?
Correct.
You told us that you gifted Dustin a Beretta M9, correct?
Yes.
And that was your former service weapon.
Yes.
And it became yours upon retirement?
Yes.
Now, are you familiar with the M9?
I am.
Okay. Was that your regular service weapon that you used?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Was that the only weapon, M9, that you used as the sheriff?
It was the only Beretta. Every few years we would be issued new firearms.
Oh. So the M9, the last firearm, the M9 that you gave to Dustin, the last firearm that you had before you retired?
Yes.
Okay. The M9 is a pistol, correct?
It is?
A semi-automatic handgun?
Yes.
And what does that mean, that it's semi-automatic?
Objection, Your Honor.
Basis.
Hearing may be approached.
Sure.
I didn't hear the basis for the objection. She didn't give one. I just like to object. The basis was, may we approach. That's funny. There is a there's a YouTube video, their YouTube channel out there named after the defendant, which appears to be his. It has a handful of videos on it, all music related, nothing really interesting for the trial, although one of them does have some pictures of his girlfriend and children on the screen as the music is playing. Interesting. It was the channel was made 3 years ago, so overruled. Cool. Let's listen. Squeak.
Mr. George, what does it mean to be a semi-automatic pistol?
It means that it will fire every time you pull the trigger.
And the M9 has several safety features, correct?
Yes, it does.
M9 looks like a 92, I think.
Built for use by the armed forces, correct?
Yes.
And it has a fail-proof safety system in it, correct?
Yes.
Mr. Dern, how many grandchildren do you have?
7.
7 grandchildren. And you testified earlier that Ellen and Valen are Dustin's 2 children, correct?
Correct.
With Caitlin, right?
Yes.
And at the time of this incident in February of 2024, Ellen was 4?
Yes.
And Valen was 1?
Yes.
And at the time of the incident in February 2024, Dustin and Elwyn lived in Berlin, New Hampshire, correct?
Correct.
And Valen and Caitlin had just come out a few days prior from Minnesota, correct?
Objection.
Knowledge. Sustained.
Before Dustin and Elwyn moved to Berlin, New Hampshire, he lived with you and your wife, correct?
That's correct.
And Elwyn and Valen lived with you part-time, correct?
Correct.
The other part of the time they lived with Caitlin, correct?
That is correct.
And you were aware that Dustin and Caitlin would exchange the kids for
Objection. Hearsay.
the other approach, Your Honor?
Yep. All right, we are renaming this to the Temper Fi murder trial. Scott Life, that's a great suggestion. And it's done. This is day 1. Possibly need a thumbnail for this one as well. Let's see. I don't hear a train whistle, but I hear someone's nose whistle. Whose nose is whistling? Might be the defendant's or the witness. Congrats to whoever came up with Temper Fi. Thumbnail, you say? Yes, it might have to have some emojis on it. I'm like, what is this trial about anyway? This is a murder trial, RDB. Currently we're listening to the defendant's dad take the stand. He's the second witness of this trial. First trial was the detective investigator who responded to the scene and found the defendant's wife dead on the couch, having been shot once in the head with a 9mm handgun. The defendant, even though he was caught by police, he was captured after an Amber Alert went out, claimed to be willingly turning himself in. And he talked. He talked. Said it was in self-defense, or actually defense of his children. Claimed that his girlfriend was threatening to take their kids and kidnap them.
So, Mr. Duran, when Dustin lived with you and your wife and his children, it was several months, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you were able to observe Dustin's relationship with his children, correct?
Yes.
And specifically with Elowen, you observed how close they were, correct?
Extremely.
Extremely close. Dustin loved being a father as far as you can see, correct?
Very much so.
And he cared deeply for Elowen.
Objection, Your Honor.
Overruled.
So based on your observations between Dustin and Elowen, he cared deeply for Elowen, correct?
That is correct.
And when Dustin and the girls lived with you part-time, they were there 98 days and not 48 days, correct?
I believe that's correct.
So Dustin and the girls were there at your home at a higher ratio than when Caitlin had the girls, correct?
Yes.
I don't have any more questions, thank you.
Redirect.
Mr. Duran, you talked a little bit with defense counsel about being a Marine and having Marine training with respect to how to use a gun, correct?
Yes.
Part of your training as a Marine also involves being disciplined?
Yes.
When to appropriately use a gun?
Yes.
Okay. Does it also include when not to use a gun?
Yes.
As a Marine, are you taught to mindlessly fire?
Of course not.
You're in fact taught to assess situations, correct?
Yes.
To only fire when necessary?
Yes.
To take out a threat?
Objection, Your Honor, leading.
I can rephrase, Your Honor.
Withdrawn. Sustained.
With respect to your training, Mr. Dern, are you taught as a Marine to shoot at a specific individual?
If necessary, yes.
Okay. And are you taught when and how to decide if it's necessary to shoot?
Yes.
How about an unarmed person? Is it necessary to shoot them?
Objection.
Overruled.
You may answer, Mr. Dern.
Yes.
It's necessary to shoot an unarmed person?
Objection, Your Honor, can we approach?
Yep.
It's already getting spicy as the state comes in with, okay, tell me about your military training with firearms. Do you just regularly shoot people mindlessly? What about the unarmed person? Do you just shoot them too? The defense is objecting, and the judge is letting this roll forward. Now they're approaching. I think the judge will let this go forward as well. Let's see if they get the answer in that they want, forcing the dad to admit that there has to be a threat present. There has to be a threat present. You know, that whole clear and present danger must exist. You can't shoot someone preemptively thinking, well, they might commit a crime in the future. There has to be that threat, and you definitely can't shoot them in retribution for something they did in the past that there's no more a threat of occurring. So we'll see if sorry, I like the background sounds. I like the pauses. So I'll try to bring in the TikToks when I can, but we'll keep them off for right now because it's staticky too. Hostile witness, just a little bit, just a teensy bit. Had to take call and just joined on this witness. Whoa, what is going on? This is the dad of the defendant. He doesn't want to say anything that'll get his son in trouble, but he's also a trained, was he in the military or just law enforcement? I think it was just law enforcement. Where he's had training. His son was in the military, and this training was firearm training. Were they both in the Marines? I'm thinking they both were in the Marines. He was a Marine too. Yes, thank you, Woody. Thank you for that. He knows that you can't just shoot mindlessly. Dad was in the Marines from 77 to 81. Thank you, Northwest. This court has the loudest turn signals ever, and they never turn or turn them off. Enjoy the clock and enjoy the typing. I'll see if I can bring it in when I can. This is spicy. Oops. I think we're having some issues. Probably because of Amazon Web Services, honestly. I'm blaming them for everything. You are correct, you guys. A couple of you mentioned that the defendant has a second channel on YouTube that is for gaming with about 14,500 subscribers and over 340 videos on it. So he has a music channel with about 5 videos, and he has this gaming channel with hundreds. Music Theory, dude, also a pianist, plays the piano. What is it about the piano and murder? Marines are trained to eliminate the threat. She was a threat to the child, according to the defense. The problem is if he says that she's still a threat, they might try to get him to articulate what the threat was. And that can be a slippery slope when she doesn't have a weapon, when she isn't in possession of the child, and you're holding the gun. Okay, here we go. We're coming back. Let's see which audio we need to take.
Mr. Duran, does your Marine training include information on shooting persons who are unarmed?
Yes.
As a Marine, is that something that you were trained to do?
Yes.
Okay, hang on.
Are there certain circumstances under which your training tells you that that can occur?
Depends on the threat at the time.
Okay, we had it all messed up, but we're back synced up. Depends on the threat.
As a Marine, you're trained in ground combat?
Correct.
What is combat?
It means taking out your enemy, if necessary.
Taking out your enemy?
Oh, that's going to hurt.
Are you trained as a Marine to be thoughtful with respect to your use of a handgun in combat?
Yes.
See the prosecutor walk into frame here in just a second. There she is.
No other question.
Because?
Nothing further.
Okay, can Mr. Dern be excused?
Fine, Steve.
Okay.
Question.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mason.
Your Honor,
yes.
Lots of approaches on this one. Are the pumpkins carved? No. When you carve a pumpkin, the shelf life drops dramatically. I'm a bit worried about STEMI because the STEMI was already in bad shape. So I'm worried if I carve it, it might not be ripe on the inside. Oh, it might be too ripe on the inside. Stem pumpkins on the front porch. It's doing great right now. Yes, there is sequestration on this trial. Some family members are exempt from that, though.
Okay, members of the jury, we'll stop and take the lunch break now. We'll be back at 1 o'clock. A few comments, a few instructions. Once again, as I've already said, please do not talk about the case or the evidence amongst yourselves, and please report to a bailiff if you do indicate someone doing that. Just a few more comments, because over the length of the trial, these things may come up. Lancaster, the town of Lancaster is not a large area. It may be possible that during the lunch break, you may run into one of the attorneys. You may run into someone who is a witness in this matter. Obviously, I instruct you to not engage in any way with anyone who is an attorney or a witness in this matter whatsoever. I instruct you not to do that. If you happen to be grabbing a sandwich and you happen to run into any of the attorneys here, they will not talk to you and you should not talk to them. So please take no offense to that. That's just part of the procedure. Further, we will try to start exactly at 1 o'clock. I do want to inform the jury that from time to time, there are times that there are other matters that I have to attend to. It might be a brief meeting with the attorneys involved in this case, or it might be something like a bail hearing or something like that. We try to minimize the interference. We try to minimize your waiting time as much as possible. Sometimes it's just unavoidable. So please understand that that's what's happening. This trial is the priority for the court. We do appreciate your service and your attention, so we do try to minimize disruptions, but sometimes they do happen from time to time. So we will try to minimize that to the extent possible. And again, please review nothing relative to any media reports about this. Please go so far as to try to avoid even accidentally or inadvertently coming in contact with any of that information. And again, please don't transmit anything by your social media as to what is happening as part of the trial. So I'm sorry for all the instructions, but they are necessary under the circumstances. We'll try to reconvene again directly at 1 o'clock. Thank you.
All right.
We just had one more whistle in the background while he was talking. I didn't want to talk over it, but I heard it. Train whistle counter up to 3. We should have counted the sidebars. We might go back and change to that because the train's really hard to hear, especially if we switch to eliminate some of the tick-tock audio in the background, because sound goes from this to this. There's no whistle happening there. So,
thank you. Court will be in recess.
All right, court will be in recess. That means we're going to turn that off and we're going to go here. All right. Welcome. For those who are just joining, we are just starting up here in New Hampshire, this trial of Dustin Duran. Dustin is charged with murder. Murder of his wife. Well, girlfriend, with whom he had 2 children. The situation, the police found her body had been shot in the head one time with a 9mm handgun. She was seated on the couch. Dustin is the one who shot her. We know that because he admitted this to the police. After he shot her, he took the kids and drove around for a while. And then, was going to turn himself in the following day after spending a few hours with his 1- and 4-year-old daughters, who were in the home, and one of them in his arms at the time of the shooting. He claims that this was in defense of the children who were under threat of being kidnapped by their mom. He says she was trying to kidnap the kids and take them away from him. But the way he tells the story, it leaves some questions. He says that obviously they'd had some financial troubles. They had some relationship issues going on, but they've come up with a plan where he's going to move away to New Hampshire and take the one daughter, and then she's going to follow a while later. But that's this particular day, the day she died, she's not speaking to him. And he keeps asking her questions about every 15 minutes, and she still just does not respond, according to him. And then as he is loading up the car, getting ready to go, it's time to go, time to take his daughter and leave. The wife, allegedly, takes the daughter and sits her on her lap and holds onto her and says nothing. And he tries then to take the daughter from the wife so they can leave, and instead she just keeps wrapping her arms around him, and then she starts talking. For the first time that day, she starts talking, and she starts saying things like, I'm going to kidnap the kids and take them away from you. I'm going to call the police and tell them that you kidnapped the kids. I'm going to, it's wild. I'm going to take the kids from you in the middle of the night. You won't know what's happening or where they are. You'll never see them again. Basically, all the things you would need to say for this to be a crime about to occur, to justify action that he says he was going to take, which he says he shot her in self-defense, but this is after they were playing tug-of-war on the daughter, and she screamed. He grabbed his gun, which was right next to him, there in the living room, sitting on the table. He grabbed the gun, racked it, took the daughter from the girlfriend, and shot her once, and then left. It's Bree Roz and I are going to design an epic thumbnail for this Templify trial. We'll share with you in a minute. Thank you. Do invite me. Make sure you invite me, Red. You know I struggle to get the invites, but send me the email invite, and I'll bring it in. Was she squeezing the child? We don't know. We don't know who hurt the child. Right? The child was 4. The child is on the witness list, as is the dad, who we just heard from, and the investigator, who was the first witness. So we've heard from 2 witnesses so far. There are 100 people, pretty close, or thereabouts, on the witness list for the state. Only 2 for the defense. That may be an indicator of what defense has in mind. What are the New Hampshire self-defense laws? We're going to hear about that, probably from the judge at the end of trial. Maybe something during witness as well. Canva is supposed to be affected by the outage of AWS. Everything is. Everything's affected. TVU is affected a lot. Shooting an unarmed person who was holding a baby. Who needs anyone's? Shelley, she was not holding the baby at the time. He was. Doesn't make it much better. She had just been holding, literally the baby was snatched out of her arms, and then she was shot. Well, he was still holding the baby. Baby in one arm, gun in the other. That's how it went. And the child, immediately put her hands on her ears and said it hurt her ears, complained of, the gun was so loud. In the house, with the other baby in the car seat in the hallway, right there, with the 1-year-old. So just a wild, wild trial. We only have an hour for lunch, and we've just used 6 of those minutes, you guys. So I apologize. We're going to get you guys out to lunch. We'll be back in time to begin and pick up where we left off, as they call the 3rd witness in this trial of day 1. Let me get the thumbnail. Well, let's see. Let's grab. It's a Monday. Can you believe it? It's a Monday. Okay, let's reuse those settings. All right, we've got making the portal, so we're going to be able to jump back. They're starting right at 1 o'clock, so we're going to come back at about 11:55. Give us 5 minutes to get our seats and sit down, give the internet away, and then return to this trial, which is already proven to be pretty interesting and a little bit spicy. The 2 teams, the prosecution and defense, are making plenty of objections, but a lot of them are sidebar. See, Greeners is the winner on the new one, as he always is. Good luck, Greeners. You signed on a day that AWS is down, so good luck. All right. We'll see if we can update this and get a portal or get a thumbnail on the new one here shortly. But for now, it's just going to be like this, and we're all set. All right. Portal's created. Music started. It is lunchtime. We're going to be back with New Hampshire versus Dustin Duran, day 1, part 2, in about 45 minutes. So please make plans accordingly. Blackbird Rest, 1 birthday wish before lunch. This portal works, and don't get lost in space. All right. It works. It works. I built it. You're ready to go. Let's see. I'm going to double check it just for you. Now I'm nervous. All right. It's set up. It's set up. I had, in fact, built it wrong. It's a good thing I checked. All right, tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live again at 12:55, about 50 minutes from now, a little less, with Day 1 Part 2 of Dust and Burn. It's getting spicy already. You don't want to miss any of it. We'll see you guys in a little bit.
I was told counsel wanted to see me at sidebar.